Hari Om. We are today examining the second mantra of the first section of the second chapter. The mantra reads like this: Divyo hyamurta purusha sa bahyabhyandaro hyaja aprano hyamana shubhro aksharat parada para. This is the mantra under discussion. Now, in the previous mantra, the Shruti stated that all the various Nama Rupas, the names and forms, of the little sparks are in essence the main spark. All the names and forms of the various jivas, like us, that dance around the world are in essence nothing other than the Supreme Reality. This is what the Rishi conveys in the last mantra. Now, at this stage, therefore, the student may develop an anxious curiosity to know and understand the nature of that Supreme Reality which you are. Obvious. The Guru, in order to quench the thirst of the disciple for knowing the ultimate Supreme, gives some pointers or arrow marks to indicate the nature of Brahman, the reality. At this stage, we must appreciate the honest difficulty of the Guru to straightaway offer a chemical or a physical formula to define the Supreme. E is equal to mc squared. He cannot offer such a formula and define Brahman. He simply cannot. We, the ordinary mortals, constitute of our body, our mind, and our intellect, along with their respective accessories to aid their functions. Think. When I say I refer to a set of objects, equipments, the body, the mind, the intellect, and its accessories. This together constitute me. Each of these ubadhis or equipment, as it were, have their own limitations of space and time, and each of these are assigned specific areas of operation under their jurisdiction. Our body can only perceive what? Can only perceive the objects of the world around us. It cannot feel. It cannot think. Body cannot feel an emotion of love, emotion of hatred. It can only perceive the objects which can be captured by its sense organs of perception. That is its limitation. Now, body as such is nothing but calcium, carbon, phosphorus. It has no life. But the power of perception is acquired from the Supreme Reality, which is what the disciple is seeking for. Nay, in fact, the Supreme Reality itself is the motive force for the body to perceive. It enlivens the body. Similarly, the mind, on the other hand, is a seat of emotion. It can only capture emotions, good, bad, or indifferent. It can only feel the emotions. It cannot perceive any objects of the world, however attractive it is. It cannot smell a good sambar. It cannot taste a piece of pakoda. It can only feel the emotions. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, the negative tendencies, love, joy, kindness, compassion, these positive feelings. It can only feel the emotions and it cannot perceive the objects of the world. Mind as such is again made up of matter and hence inert. The mind is also powered by the same Supreme Self, Atman, the reality, in order to get its power of feeling. Think please. The third component in us, the intellect, is a seat of thoughts and hence it can only think. It cannot entertain emotions and it cannot perceive the objects in any form. Now, just as the motive power of the body and that of the mind is the Supreme Self, the motive force of intellect is also the one and the same Supreme Self. Thus, the ultimate reality, the Supreme, the Self, the Brahman, whatever name you call it, is the one and the same energy that prompts the body, mind and intellect to carry on their respective functions. When thus this Atman, the Self, the Supreme, the reality, functions through the body, that body, which had no life earlier, now perceives the world of objects. The Atman, the Self, the Supreme, the reality, when it is functioning through the mind, the inert mind, the mind becomes insentient and becomes capable of feeling the emotions. The Atman, the Self, the Supreme, the reality, when it is functioning through the intellect, it becomes the thinker of the thoughts. Without the presence of this Atman, intellect is only a few pieces of tissues, lifeless tissues. So the same power enlivens the intellect to think and express the thoughts to the world around. Now, careful. Since it is the Supreme Reality that lends the body the power to perceive, the body cannot perceive the reality. There's only one-way traffic. You can't go in the reverse. The Atman, the reality or the Supreme, which enlivens the body to perceive the objects, cannot treat that Supreme Power as an object and try to see. It cannot see. The battery in your torch, which lends the power of light to the bulb, that bulb cannot turn round and focus on the battery and see the battery. Because the moment you turn, the connection is broken and you cannot see. You have the capacity to see the entire world of things around you, but you cannot see yourself. Think, please. The eyes cannot see the power to see. The nose cannot smell the power to smell. The skin cannot touch the power to touch. The ears cannot hear the power to hear. The tongue cannot taste the power to taste. In the same way, the mind, which gets its power to feel from the Supreme Reality, cannot feel that Supreme Reality. So too, the intellect, who draws power to think from the Supreme, cannot think of the Supreme. In short, therefore, this Supreme Reality, call it Brahman, call it whatever name you want, which enlivens the body, the mind and the intellect to perform their respective duties under their jurisdiction. In other words, to perceive, to feel or to think, they themselves cannot perceive or feel or think about the reality. Therefore, the Supreme Reality or the Brahman cannot be perceived, cannot be felt, cannot be thought of by the body, mind, intellect equipment. Therefore, the immortal cannot be grasped by the mortal and finite equipments or upadhis. Therefore, Brahman is not an object of expression or experimentation. It is a state of experience, pure and simple. This finite upadhi, our body, mind and intellect, are therefore unable to explain the reality. Yet, the revered Guru cannot hide behind this logic and say that the Brahman is that which is not perceived by the body, the Brahman is that which is not felt by the mind, the Brahman is that which is not thought by the intellect. Please understand this to be true and now you may go. It cannot say this and leave the student in the lurch. How then are you going to explain to the student his query as to what is that Brahman? Our ancient rishis have therefore discovered a method by which the inexpressible can be expressed by indicative methods to indicate the truth, couched in a language known and familiar to our body, mind and intellect. This indication method is employed in all our Upanishad study curriculum. They express the unknown through the medium of known by an indicative process. This mantra thus gives a list of indicators to make the student grasp with a comparative degree of understanding. With these descriptions, he cannot fully grasp the Brahman. He can only get an indication of what the Brahman is in his own language, in his own understanding. In this mantra, therefore, these arrows, indications are given by the rishis as to what Brahman is. It is self-effulgent, it is formless, it is beginningless, it is pure, it is all-pervading, it is both inside and outside, the unmanifest, etc., etc. The cause of all effects. Now these words paint a vivid indicative picture of the reality in the finite mind and intellect of the student. And his journey, the true journey, starts where the master's arrow ends. Thereafter, it is his duty to contemplate upon that what has been indicated, then try to analyze. No doubt, in that process of analysis, in traveling from the expressible to the inexpressible, from the known to the unknown, at every step, the Guru is behind you to guide you. Sometimes he stands in front of you and leads you. Sometimes he stands behind you and pushes you. Sometimes he is with you. In whatever manner, his help till you realize the Brahman is ever guaranteed. This is the style of our Upanishadic literature. Hari Om.